has probably anywhere from maybe 3 or 4 different types that you could easily consolidate something like that, and you're not investing in a ton of stock that you'd have to keep on hand or manufacture a ton of the products at any time. The struts, you'll see on the older cars, the different types of struts, and like on a Mustang, for the classic years, you're probably talking maybe 20-ish different types of dimensions on the struts. So something like that you could. There's probably only 3, 4, 5 big players out there. Some of the stuff you run into on some of those components, though, of course, is they're all heavy. They're all metal. So the freight always becomes a concern from my perspective as you're buying it. But yeah, wheels change all the time. That's one thing I wouldn't tie into it as much, just because wheels are always changing. You're not going to change a leaf spring. You know what I mean? There's certain things they've done to it. After that, there's pretty much nowhere else to go. So you could kind of corner a market on some of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, steering wheels, those are kind of twofold. A classic look that just looks just exactly like it, but then the newer market of people always reinventing that wheel. It always changes. So that's a tough one too, So you kind of have to look at it as, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to look at the purist? Who are you shooting for? If you're shooting towards the resto mod, that's always going to change, and that consolidation becomes tougher. Upholstery would be one that you consolidate there. Certain categories within the classic industry, upholstery is one. There's only really a couple players in that. ACC, located out of Georgia, I think it's right in Atlanta, and then locally, there's a company as well. So there's only like two upholstery companies that are out there. There's only one carpet company. That would have been ACC, my fault. ACC is the carpet company out of Atlanta, and they corner the entire market on that because they just, the licensing and everything else that they've accumulated over the years. There are a few other companies that try to delve into it and just are not successful.
Got it. What was the other upholstery company? You said ACC, and you mentioned another one.
Well, ACC would be the carpet company. The upholstery company, there's 2 of those, and God, why am I drawing a blank? Let me think a second, and I'll give them to you. Wow. Can't believe I'm drawing a blank. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I did want to ask, when we were talking about consolidation, you said there were a couple categories, shocks and struts, and then you said within struts there's about 20 different types. And then before that, I think, were you saying there were 4 different types of shocks mainly?
Yeah, roughly about 4 different types of shocks on the suspension leaf springs. You have a leaf spring on a lot of the classic cars as far as part of the suspension, and they'll do slight modifications, 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inch, and they do lowering type leaf springs. So there's probably about 20 different variations within that.
Got it. So 4 different types of suspension leaf springs, but within those 4 different types, there's about 20 in each of those.
Exactly. So that wouldn't be as bad. The problem with those, like I said, is the freight on them, because they are so heavy.
Got it. Okay. I guess I want to circle back. We've been doing a little bit of work on the tire and wheel industry. You talked about some of the major players that supply wheels, and gave your opinion on your thoughts of that particular category. But is there any major players that come to mind for tires?
Not really. It just was never something that a lot of people